This podcast episode is being brought to you by Speechify, which has now launched voice typing and dictation. I don't know about you, but one of the most shocking parts of the pandemic wasn't the toilet paper shortages. It was watching families hunker down. We were watching foreign films with subtitles. I was lighting candles every day in an act of normalcy. Families were doing puzzles. And then I read Strangers, a memoir of marriage by Belle Burden. Because while the rest of the world was locking their doors and pulling their loved ones closer, Belle Burden's husband was walking out. Not after years of obvious fighting, not after some dramatic confrontation, not after announcing his unhappiness. He simply left. And I couldn't stop thinking, how does the person you've built a life with become a stranger? Because Belle's story isn't just about privilege, marriage, or betrayal. It's about what happens when the narrative you've been living turns out not to be the story your spouse has been telling himself. And honestly, I think many women will recognize pieces of themselves in this memoir. Before we jump back into the podcast, let me tell you a little bit about a tool I've been using from Speechify. Speechify has just launched voice typing and dictation, which lets you talk naturally and have your words instantly typed into emails, Google Docs, LinkedIn, Slack, and pretty much anywhere you write online. It's perfect for creators, writers, and anyone who thinks faster than they type. And if you're creating content, Speechify's AI voice generator and dubbing studio is packed with features. Over 1,000 voices, more than 60 languages and accents, emotion and speed controls, voice cloning with just 5 seconds of audio, and instant video dubbing from a YouTube link or uploaded video. If you've been looking for a faster way to write and create content, check out Speechify through my link below. Now let's get back to the podcast. One of the reasons this memoir fascinated me is because Belle Burden's life was extraordinary. She's the granddaughter of Babe Paley, so her step-grandfather was William Paley, the founder of CBS. She's a descendant from John Jay, America's first Chief Justice. Privilege wasn't her middle name. It was her first name. She had the kind of life many women are taught to aspire to. Wealth, social standing, marriage, beautiful homes, access, and security. And yet none of these things insulated her from abandonment. Because betrayal doesn't check your bank account before it arrives. Affairs happen in penthouses and trailers. Desertion happens in gated communities and small towns. Pain is one of the great equalizers. Reading this memoir reminded me that no amount of privilege can guarantee emotional safety. You have to have, or you can have everything society tells a woman to want and still wake up one morning wondering who the person beside you actually is. The most heartbreaking part of Belle's story wasn't even the affair. It was that she never saw it coming. There was no roadmap, no declaration of unhappiness, no warning that he was planning another life. She describes realizing that the man she loved had apparently been carrying thoughts, resentments, desires, and decisions she had no access to. He had become a stranger. Many readers who've lived through divorce will tell you this is the part they relate to most. The shock, the rewriting of history, the wondering whether the marriage you thought you had ever existed at all. Some listeners may hear echoes of relationships marked by emotional manipulation, secrecy, or self-centeredness. Others may simply recognize how dangerous it is when honest communication disappears. Whatever language you use for it, the outcome is the same. You're left trying to make sense of the reality you never consented to. There was another lesson that hit me hard. And I don't care whether you're a CEO, a stay-at-home mom, or what social media now calls an elective trad wife. Know where the money is. Know what accounts exist. Know what debts exist. Know where the insurance policies are. Know how the bills get paid. Know who manages the investments. Truth is beautiful. Blind dependence is dangerous. Marriage is a partnership, and partnerships require information. Belle's story is a reminder that loving someone doesn't mean surrendering your own awareness. Even in healthy marriages, women need financial literacy. Not because we expect disaster, but because life happens. Death happens, illness happens, divorce happens. And knowledge isn't cynicism. Knowledge is stewardship. I loved this memoir because it wasn't written as a revenge. It wasn't an expose. It was a woman trying to understand the collapse of the story she thought she was living, trying to figure out how love can coexist with bewilderment, how grief can exist alongside gratitude, how someone you know intimately can become someone you no longer recognize. Maybe that's why the title Strangers feels so devastating, because the greatest fear isn't that someone leaves, it's realizing they left long before they walked out the door. If you've read this memoir, I'd love to know what stayed with you. Did you see it as a story about privilege, about marriage, about reinvention after betrayal? Or did it make you ask the question I kept coming back to? How well can we ever truly know another person? I'm curious about what you think. Please let me know in the comments below. And make sure that you subscribe to this podcast, to the YouTube channel, download the podcast episode, and share it. And you can also find a link to the book Strangers, a memoir of marriage below. Whew.